Hello and welcome to the Recovery Matters podcast from CCAR, the podcast where putting recovery first is always the goal. Here we present interviews, discussions, stories, and speeches to cultivate the understanding and acceptance of the power, hope, and healing of recovery from alcohol and other addictions. Here are your hosts, Phil and Sandy Valentine.
Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning, Phil.
It's always good to see you.
Why, thank you. It's good to see you, too.
And thank you for sitting in with us for Sandy today. You know, she's going to school. Can you believe that?
It's my pleasure to take her place in this podcast.
Yeah. I don't think you're taking her place, though, just this one time. You and her might have issues. I'm not sure.
That's fine with me.
Do you like rainy weather?
I do, but my hair does not.
Would you hike in rainy weather?
Yes.
I love rainy weather. I like to go on the beach fishing, play golf, hike in the woods, because everybody stays inside, and there's something about the rain that's just so cleansing and just beautiful. I love rain.
I do too, as long as it's warm. I don't like it when it's too cold.
Do you like rain, Michael?
Yeah, I do like rain, but I have to stay home.
Why do you have to stay home?
Watch a movie or something in the rain.
Well, okay. You don't like to be outside in the rain?
Not so much.
Oh, well, see? So you're like one of the people that's inside while I'm outside on some type of adventure. Mm-hmm. Although my dog Buddy doesn't like the rain too much either. How about your dog? What's his name?
His name is Tanner. He's a little dog. He doesn't mind the rain.
Right. I know dogs get a little funny about that. It depends on the rain, right? If it's warm, it's okay. If he gets cold, he doesn't like being cold and wet.
Do they get both of them? I'm asking for both. Do they get scared of the thunder and stuff?
No, my dog doesn't.
Not at all.
That's good.
My dog doesn't have social anxiety, or no, what is it? Separation anxiety. We're not going to go there, Michael. Michael, you already did. You did the very first podcast, though, right?
Yeah.
How long ago was that now?
That was months ago.
Months? It was probably over a year ago, I think.
Maybe. Yeah, almost 1 year, yeah.
Yeah, how about that? And now you're doing your own podcast?
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit.
Recuperación Importa. It's a Spanish podcast. We talk about recovery. We ask people to come and tell a recovery story and their issues, if they had any, with addiction. If they want to talk about it. But more than that, we ask them to share a resource with us. And not only with us, with everybody.
So what's the name of it?
La Recuperación Importa. And it means recovery matters.
Okay. Importa.
Importa.
What's your role with us now?
I am a volunteer manager at a Manchester Recovery Community Center.
And what did you do that before that?
I was an emergency department recovery coach.
Which one did you like better? That's not a fair question.
Both.
Is it?
Both.
I also hear a rumor that you might be applying for or have applied for another position as well. To do what?
To the facilitator development coordinator.
Yeah, with our training department.
I would love.
And I heard from your interview that there is a certain person that you emulate, that you hope to be like. So talk about that gentleman a little bit.
Art Woodard.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I met Art. It's funny because when I started volunteering, I didn't know nothing about coaching at all. Like the word recovery coach, like the word coach from recovery, I didn't know nothing about.
Well, we had to drag you into the center almost, right?
Yeah.
And
it was years. For Geraldo was telling me about CCAR for years, and
the real Geraldo Rivera.
And I met Geraldo a long time ago, and I was a young kid on probation, didn't want to be in IOP, and here comes this man sitting in the corner. We all in there. You know how they put us in a circle. And I look to the side, and he's sitting in the corner by himself, and I'm like wondering why he's not in the circle. And he was just listening. And at the end of the meeting, I came up to him and talked. I spoke to everybody. It didn't matter. That's just this type of person I am. Mm-hmm. And I had a good conversation with him. But then the next week he came in, more conversation, and I grew up a good relationship with him. And they used to call me El Menor because I was the youngest one in that group. Like,
what does that mean?
The young
one?
El Menor means like the not the young one, but like adolescent, like the adolescent.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew tight with these guys. I didn't want to be there though. That was the main thing.
Well, why was Geraldo there?
He was there for his recovery, and now I understand it. I didn't understand it at first, but he was working on his pardon, and he was transforming.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like that was his transformation, and I saw that, and I just kept that in my head, and I would see him in the streets and stuff for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and always respect him and have conversations with him, and he would ask me to come down, and I'll be like, all right, yeah, tomorrow or next week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm busy, so
You ultimately made it to the center, and you started
volunteering. Yeah.
and you sat in on the recovery coach sessions with Art.
Yes.
So what do you think?
A month after I volunteered,
Yeah.
Geraldo was like, you got to meet this guy. You got to meet this guy. And he kept saying that he would go. He would even coach guys in the casino and the tribe and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that got me interested because I'm like, why would he go do that? Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know nothing about recovery. It was just everything was brand new. I got 2 years in sobriety, but it was me just hiding away from everybody.
Yeah, we'll get into that story why you were hiding.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good reason why you were hiding. But tell me what you thought of Art.
So I thought of Art. He was the first time I met him. He's the aura around him. Everybody just gravitated, and this room got filled up with people, and it was like people that came I never seen before that just came, and it was just like the whole month I've been volunteering here. I never seen these people, and I got to meet him that day too, and that aura that he had, it was just like wow. Following month, I made sure to attend his collaboration.
Well, you talk about the aura, and I love that, the energy piece, but it wasn't like it was it was powerful, but it didn't exude power.
No,
it was one of what would you say?
Pure positive energy.
Yeah.
Like I just felt like I felt safe with this man.
That's what I've told you. You have that quality
and
too.
When I kept telling my wife about it for months, and one day she finally was like, you know what, I'm going to go with you. And she sat down, and my wife that day confessed to everybody that she was in recovery. And it was like, I did a double take.
Even you?
Like,
you didn't know?
Yeah, it was like from something that I kind of knew, like I suspected, and it was she. I can totally say it because she gave me the okay. It was like she was addicted to Ambien.
Mm-hmm.
And she was taking 2 Ambiens a day during the day, and it was like, yeah, it got that bad. And
sounds like, who was that? Oh, Patrick Kennedy.
Yeah.
And he tells his story about like taking 20 Ambien and driving around D.C. until he smacked into something.
Yeah, so she's telling me, she just broadly said that in front of strangers.
Wow.
This is the power this man has, right? But this power is not something that is kept. It's just something that's generated throughout everybody that wants it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I have that power to when I go to somewhere and I say I'm in recovery, and people get so comfortable that they go, yo, I'm in recovery too, man. And I look at them like, yeah, you didn't have to tell me that, you know? But, and it's happened so many times. And like one time with Jennifer Chadukowitz and I were at UConn. We were at UConn, and 2 police officers were at our table, and we're talking, discussing. All of a sudden, one of the cops go, I'm in recovery. And he says it low. His partner didn't even know.
Right.
He looked at him like, you're in recovery? He was like, yeah, I'm in recovery.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the power of it.
What do you remember about Art, Rebecca?
I remember just like Michael shared, a feeling that I got when I was close to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just had this aura that was genuine and authentic, and his smile, you know, he truly cared about each and every person in that room.
Yeah.
I think the thing I most want to be when I want to be like Art is I am not that kind. I don't know how somebody can be that kind and that patient.
I know. I've seen it. I've seen it in the center where somebody had their doubts or had their opinions, and they would be rude. That I would think that somebody else would handle it like, ugh. No, it was just like, all right. And then he had a way of like reversing it to the person. At the person, he goes, yeah, you know what, has him thinking like, yeah, you know, you're kind of right. Mm-hmm. And then has him more thinking like, obviously, you like what the man says because you keep coming to his collaborations.
Right. So, right. We were at the Recovery Coach Academy one time, and we had just done the piece on white privilege, and art is black, as you know. And this other black man got very angry and agitated and said, man, he was pointing his finger right at me, you're nothing but a white cracker in art. You're nothing but an Uncle Tom. And this white cracker comes out and has you dancing on puppet strings. And I'm starting to turn red because I get nervous. I don't know where this is going. And I turn around and just look at Art. And Art is smiling from ear to ear. Like, he's loving what this guy is saying. Because then all of a sudden it took a turn and the black guy goes, but I see now that that's completely different, that you two guys actually love and care for one another. And I was like, I just took a deep breath because I had no idea where all that was going. I was like, but he was just calm, cool, and knew exactly where it was. Yeah. So that was your introduction to art and recovery coaching, and you do have that quality of making people feel safe around Thanks. You. You're just very calm and peaceful. Would you say so?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Michael has been one of my favorite people for a long time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're not supposed to have favorites, Rebecca. Gosh. That's all right. I have lots of, we'll just say we have lots of favorite people here at CCAR.
Absolutely.
I have. I get it. You know, it's funny that I was just thinking about this. My daughter was, me and my daughter was having a discussion because she was saying that she just had a friend in school and now they're not friends anymore. And I was like, things change. You guys could become friends again, maybe. Mm-hmm. So she goes, do you have any issues at work, Dad? And I was like, no, I've never had an issue. Like, even if I have, like, I wouldn't even notice. Mm-hmm. Because I just, it won't I won't let it linger.
Right.
I just brush it off and be like, oh, whatever. But I get along with everybody.
You do. Mm-hmm. So, where were you just told that story? Where did I? Oh, was it at the Story Slam?
Yeah, the Story Slam. That was the first time. Like I said, that was the first time I said that story out loud to publicly. Like, it was only like to therapists or my wife.
Well, you told us that story in here, but after the podcast.
Yeah. But I didn't really get detailed.
You got pretty detailed. You did.
Yeah?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, in the story?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was talking about here.
No, you did here, too.
Oh, yeah?
You told us a lot of that.
Okay.
And I was like, at the time I said, we got to have you to the point where you're comfortable enough sharing that.
Yeah.
So we're going to take us back. You were working in like a gas station.
So I got to take you back before that because it makes sense when it's like, so I'm on probation. I'm in a program.
What are you on probation for?
I'm on probation for conspiracy to armed robbery.
Come on, the peacemaker, that gentle
that's
guy
another story.
You.
That's another story. That's another story. And it was just wrong place, wrong time, but I was hanging with the wrong crowd.
Listen to the first podcast, right?
Yeah.
The very first one.
So I'm in a program called YABF, Young Adults Building a Future, and it's the first year apprentice it's 10 months, but you get your first year apprentice. So I graduated from that. I took my local 43, the union test, passed it, 98.
For what trade, Michael?
For carpentry.
Carpentry.
And
wait, what?
Yeah.
You're a carpenter?
I'm a carpenter. Yeah. Since young too. My father's a carpenter.
I know exactly what Phil is thinking.
What am I thinking?
About Jesus.
No, I wasn't thinking about that. Actually, I was thinking about, but that's a good analogy. I was thinking about, what could he do for this studio?
Oh.
I keep looking. I keep looking around. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but go ahead.
So I
Did you work as a carpenter?
Yeah, I was working like under the table at the time, and the guy wasn't paying right. He was playing me. Mm-hmm. But that was the point of me going to the gas station. So I take the local test, passed it, 98. It was 19 people taking that test, and only two of us passed it.
Wow.
And the other guys were so frustrated, like they wanted to throw chairs and stuff.
Was it a written test?
Yeah, it was all fractions, basically fractions.
So, okay.
Yeah, as a woodworker, you need to know how to measure angles.
But you don't
measuring
necessarily
tapes
know.
and stuff.
You don't necessarily need to know fractions, though.
Yeah.
Because you can measure things with a string and without anything on it.
Yeah, but then you'll be a master carpenter, right?
Right.
But
or just do it by eye.
You got to cut twice, measure twice, cut once.
Yes.
Right.
So I graduated from this thing, from this program, which was an awesome program, and I didn't have a job. I was under the table, but I wanted to work for the union. But they said you need a truck and you need your GED, which two things that I didn't have. And I was just like, all right.
Well, it just
you
passed the carpenter test.
Exactly.
But
that's
you
what
need
I was
your GED.
Yeah,
You're
it's like,
what?
Hey, you got to lay this floor down. But if you don't got a high school diploma, you can't lay this floor down for me. I don't know. But so I try to fill out for school. I need a job, right? So I go to the gas station. That day I applied for the gas station. It was like a sign. I should have took it because I had an car accident, with a brand new Beamer that my cousin let me borrow. And I still signed the application, went in, and started working. So
where's this gas station?
This gas station's on Albany Avenue. The last gas station in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
And it's not a good neighborhood.
The last one before you cross into West Hartford?
Yeah.
Oh, right on
I
the
know
corner?
exactly where that is.
It was a Sunoco.
Yeah, right on the corner?
Yeah, right on the corner. A Granby and
wasn't
Albany.
Wasn't there a Cadillac dealership across the street?
There you go. Yeah, that was it. So I was working there, and a month and a half, and it was my day off. I worked.
Well, you're working on your day off.
They called me in, and I needed money. My wife was pregnant of my firstborn. I needed money. This is 2001, by the way. This is the same year the towers came down. 6 months before the towers came down.
And it's now it's 20 years later.
20 years later.
Yeah.
My daughter be 20 this month coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be in recovery for 7 years this month.
It's a big month.
October 1st. Yeah, I'm excited, man. It's like the other day this guy goes, how many years? And I was like, 6 years. But I'll be 7. He goes, well, you should say 7. I'm like, nope, can't.
Not until it's
Not
done.
yet.
Not till. I was like, God willing. God willing.
God willing.
But yeah, so I started working there, and I liked the job. And I was also I needed the money, so I was hustling at the same time, and just my family and my friends would come.
So when you say hustling,
I was selling drugs
from the gas station.
From the gas station.
I knew what he meant.
I know, but I just see we got to kind of.
But I
lay it out
Yeah,
clearly.
you got to keep it to a limit though, because you don't want a lot of traffic to come through.
Right.
So you keep it to a limit to your family and friends.
You're so smart.
No, not really.
You are.
Not really.
You're smart.
But
smart.
so I'm sitting there, and thank God that I was counting cigarettes. Man. Like I had a routine.
Mm-hmm.
Every hour I would count cigarettes, and the register was right here, and I was on the other side of the register. I was on the right hand side of the register. I usually on the left side of the register, and that's where the slot is, like because it's a booth, it's a little booth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on this side counting the cigarettes, and I'm listening to music. As a matter of fact, I'm listening to a beat, and I'm like just like rapping over it, whatever. Then all of a sudden, this guy that an hour before came and asked me for a Black and Mild, he came back.
Asked you for a what?
A Black and Mild. And a Black and Mild is a cigar with the tip, on it.
Okay.
And we used to sell them loose.
Yeah.
And you got to like gut it, take the cancer piece out, then put the tobacco. It's a whole process. And it's like a jail thing. Like people from prison came out doing it. And then it became a thing out in the streets. Mm-hmm. At the time, it was real popular.
Did you know what he was talking about?
Of course.
Okay.
So
I'm so old and white.
So as I look at the guy, I look up at the guy. He looks at me, and he just stays there with a blank face. And I'm looking at him like what's it? I know I recognize him because I'm good with faces. So I look over there and I go, "You need another Black and Mild?" And he goes, like that, like he shakes his head. And I look at him, and I was like, "All right." So it looks like he was trying to say something, but he had half of his face covered. So then I step over and step right in front of the register and like just tilt my head that way like that. And then I look at him and I say it one more time. I say, "You need another Black and Mild?" And he looks at me, smirks, and then looks over my shoulder that way, like over my left shoulder. So when I was gonna look, boom, like the flashes came, and I just went over. And I had a heater, a space heater, right next to me. And the force hit me, and it hit my knee, and I flipped over. My legs were in the air like that and everything. Bang, and I fell. But that's like, the minute I hit the ground is when I got up. And it was like particles all over the place, and it was like, and I was trying to like gasp for air, and I couldn't, and I felt like I was inhaling all that particle. The first thing I did was grab the phone and then hit the button. Yeah. Hitting the button like, and I'm asking myself why, like over and over. Even in my head, like I say it out loud, then I'll say it in my head, and then I pick up the phone and I can't hear it. Like the phone was like gone.
So the shot,
like, they cut the phone off.
But the shot came from outside the building?
Well, it was a booth. It was a little booth.
So just out in the square there,
yeah,
where you get the gas?
They're outside, and he's on the side of the booth was like.
So he was in front of you, and the other guy was to the side of you.
And I never got to see that guy.
And he was the guy that it was a shotgun.
Yeah, it was a shotgun. I got to see the shotgun.
And was this bulletproof glass supposedly?
So I find out. I find out a few months later that there is no such thing as bulletproof glass.
Yeah.
There's bulletproof resistance.
Yeah.
So it's a difference. It might slow down the bullet and stop the force or whatever, but it's not gonna stop it. It's gonna keep going.
So you're no phone.
So I pick up the phone, no tone. I was like, did they cut the phone off? I'm thinking. But then I started thinking in my head, it's like the ring, because I heard, So I just dropped the phone, and I go back and forth, and I'm still asking myself why. So I couldn't breathe, so I see the door, and I run to the door, and I unlock it. And as I'm unlocking it, I go, is this the right decision? It's like, am I making the right decision? But I can't breathe, so I just run. And as soon as I run out, and I had a Red Sox hat on. It was so funny. Because I was telling that in the story. So he was talking about Red Sox before. So I dropped the hat. Something told me to take off the hat. The hat felt heavy too. So I dropped the hat, and I see 2 pair of feet with the shotgun, like right there on the side. And I go, they're about to kill me. So I was going to get on my knees. And as I was out getting on my knees, I'm asking them why. And then something tells me, and I heard that. And I always say, I think my angel, the one that speaks to me is a female, because I hear her, and she's clearly, and she cursed at me. She said, "Get the fuck up and run," and I just ran, and it was like I listened to her, so I ran across the street. Now, mind you, this is 1:30, 1:45 in the morning, and Albany Ave, and across the street there was nothing. Vacant lots, and then a red car in the light, and I run up to it was a girl and a guy. The guy was in the passenger seat, the lady driving, and I run up and I bang on the window, and I was like, am I bleeding? I know I'm bleeding. And then I was like, I got a hole in my neck, and then the same time I stick this finger in my neck, and then it was like, oh, and I didn't want to press it too much. I was like, oh, and I just started running, but all this blood on my shirt. And it was just like, just running all the way home. I lived 2 blocks away. It's not like I ran across town. And I lived 2 blocks away. And who was in my house was my sister. My mom's wasn't home. My brother was in National Guards at the time, so he was off. And I got the key, one key that opens both locks in my wallet. And I remember fumbling for the key, and everything, my money, everything fell out in the porch. I was like, I don't care about that. And I opened the door. I'm dying. I'm thinking in my head, I'm dying. So I unlocked the door. And then as I'm like this, I get to the kitchen and I get this piece, and then I go to my sister's room and I go, Yaira, and she's like, what? And I was like, yo, I got shot. I'm about to die. Call the ambulance, tell them to pick my body up from my bag. I didn't want to die in the street, so I ran home. And then I went, lay down on the bed. And the next thing you know, this cop with a flashlight in my face. He's like, get up. And I'm like, looking at him. He said, you work in the gas station? And I was like, yeah. He said, you got to come with me. And he took me to the gas station. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, like, why is this man taking me to the gas station? Why is this man taking me to... And then when I get to the gas station, it was like I had like a breakdown. And I was going to run. Like, I was just going to start running. And a paramedic that, I don't know, this paramedic was like my guardian angel, because for somehow he had me not running. He got me in the ambulance, he screamed at the cop, told the cop to back. He was like, back the fuck up and let him be my patient. He's my patient right now. You get away, you'll have your turn later. And the cop went away. I never seen the cop again. It was a lady cop that came after. But I say that paramedic would have been a great coach. I look back at it, yeah. He was so compassionate, like a father bear. Like, this is my pit, you know what I'm saying? Back up, and I always remember that part. But
I wonder how they found you, Michael.
His sister called.
My sister called because I had my manager's number. So that's another thing. My sister called the manager, and the manager, the manager never asked how I was.
Right.
She said, did they take anything? That was the only thing she asked. Did they take anything? And we only keep the $100 in the register. Right. Every time we went over, even 150, you take that 50 and you drop it in the safe. The safe is underground.
Yeah.
I don't even have the combination. That's like the Dunbar guys come and grab that. Right. So I never knew that. And at the time, I only had like $75 in the register. They ain't even take that. I think that they thought I killed them. I didn't mean, probably meant to scare them, to rob me or whatever. But I don't know. And at the time, dust was real heavy. At the time, I was actually the year before that, I was real heavy on dust.
Angel dust, drug.
So angel dust, and I think it's a little different now because of the whole embalming fluid. The embalming fluid changed the game.
Yeah, Wookiee or
so that's Takao. That's that leet dust, primo, butt naked, wet, fry stick. It got so many names, man. So it depends where you're from.
You think these two guys were on that?
I believe so. And then that stirred a lot of problems in the near future. Like a year after that, my daughter was 1 year old. I remember Halloween. This was Halloween, and I was so paranoid of everything.
Yeah. So, but wait a minute. What happened with the hole in the neck? Was your life in danger?
So yeah, I had a few pellets in my neck because it was a spread.
Yeah.
Right.
The shotgun was a spread. So I had some pellets in there and plexiglass. I had plexiglass for 5 years in my neck, going like this. Like I would go to the beach. You know how you go to the beach and the sun hits you and you sweat, and you go, and I would go like this, and my whole hand would be shiny with plexiglass. It's crazy. So it was embedded in my face. And
so it was sweating out of you.
Yeah,
you were sweating the plexiglass out of you.
Yep. And
did you have to have surgery and take pellets out and all that?
No. They left it alone.
Any stitches?
I didn't want no stitches. I needed to stitch this part here.
Yeah, really. And I saw a lot there.
No,
I can't see anything.
You know what?
It
what
looks
works?
like along this way, maybe.
Vitamin E, and the pharmacist told me that.
Okay. Yeah, the capsules.
I had a bunch of scars in my face, and they kept saying, "Oh, those are gonna stay. Those are gonna be on." And this pharmacist, older man, he's passed away now.
Does your face hurt?
No, but
it's killing me. No, sorry.
You just had to throw a dad joke in there.
I
knew it was gonna come. I knew it was gonna come.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying it stirred a lot. This stirred a lot of things like trust issues.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
Because
imagine.
The next year, I remember like clearly, I was in Stop and Shop and I had to get a gallon of milk for my daughter. And this is Halloween. And I look, I'm walking, and I'm very, very paranoid walking, like, in the streets. So I look to the side and I see this guy in a U-Haul truck with a gorilla mask on. And he's like hitting the gas, hitting the brakes, hitting the gas, hitting the brakes. And I'm like, they're gonna kidnap me. I'm already like thinking that, right? So the guy comes out of the Stop and Shop and this guy, he goes, hey, and he just jumps in front of me. So I take 2 steps back and just cocked him, man, like bop right in the jaw.
Yeah.
And I knocked him out right there in the entrance. And the security guard, I know him since we was kids. He ran up and he goes, yo, and he looked at me. He was, what happened? What happened? And I was like, because he knew, he was like, this ain't you. Like what? He must have did something to you. So he looked at the guy and picked up the guy and was like, what you doing? And I was like, yo, he got too close. And I just went inside. And then the guy goes back in with another guy. And I'm like, now I know something's up. I got the gallon of milk in my hand. Big guy comes up to me. And I'm looking at the big guy, and I'm like, I'll hit you with this gallon of milk, man, if y'all don't get away. And I remember the gallon of milks were like, at that time, were like $2.50, $2.60. I gave him $5, I remember, the lady. I was like, here, bleed. And I kept running. That's how paranoid I was. Like, I ran all the way home. 4 blocks.
Michael, did they ever find the guys that robbed the gas station or no?
The manager never had the camera on.
Oh, okay.
She took, for some reason, 7 hours before I started work, she stopped the tape and didn't change the tape. So they never caught the guys.
Did the police try to make you or ask you to pick anybody out from a lineup?
No. They never did that. They never did it. They kept insisting that I was in a gang.
Of course.
And they was like, oh, that's retaliation. And I never had beef with anybody.
Or that you might have been in on the
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know the safe number. Yeah. That's under the ground. Like, and every time it goes over, we have to put. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But.
So, how did this affect your addiction?
Real bad.
Yeah,
real bad.
Tell us about it.
So for 6 months, I did not see my moms.
Yeah.
And I'm like real close to my moms, and I was just spiraling and
scared.
Yeah, and just like then I stopped. I didn't even like hustle anymore. I just like smoked all my profit, smoked everything, and then I just continued to buy for myself, drinking and hiding out, paranoid, thinking that somebody was gonna come get me.
Were you working at all?
No, I didn't work. For those 6 months, I did not work, and then I started working for Pritchard, which is a cleaning company.
Yeah.
And I find myself in a storage, having chest pains, and I'm thinking I'm having a heart attack when it was my first panic attack.
Wow.
Very first panic attack.
Okay, so where does this go? So, and this is all post getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to continue working even through panic attacks?
I kept getting jobs and letting them go. Because, like one time I went to Arthur Drugs where I met my wife. I went back there. One of my good friends was working as a manager, and I tried, and then somehow something triggered me. And when I found out later on what it was Nutter Butter. The smell of peanut butter at that time triggered me.
Really?
Yeah.
Rika, was there peanut butter in the...
Because I was eating.
In the booth at the same time?
I was eating the peanut butter.
While you were listening to rap and cotton cigarettes.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is the official term now, what is PTSD?
PTSD. Shell shock, they call it.
Yeah, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yep.
And... But you said you were kind of isolated for a long period of time, more than 6 months.
Yeah, those 6 months. After the 6 months, I kept coming out. But in the simple fact of hanging with people, that cut off. Like, I had trust issues, like really bad. I thought everybody was out to get me. Like, who do I trust? I don't got beef with anybody. Who would do that to me?
Right.
And then not. And then this is the year of the towers came down. Then I started thinking some other thing, like terrorists was coming to get. I don't know. That's how your mind.
Like the world was going to end.
Yeah. I was ready for Red Dawn. Remember the movie Red Dawn?
I do.
I was ready. I was become
Swayze?
Wolverine.
Yeah, but I don't know if you were ready for Red Dawn because you never would have come out of your house.
I know. But after the 6 months that I kept coming out, gradually, like, it took a lot. It took a lot of years for me to get comfortable, to come out. And people used to see me and be like, that's not you. They used to be sad because they was like, that is not him.
What did your family think during all this?
They were sad. They were very sad and worried because I'm a funny guy and I'm an outgoing person. I have to meet new people. They saw that, and then they weren't seeing that. So,
how do you break out of that? What were you able to do?
It's multiple things. But I tell you right now, it was nothing like what broke me out of the shell, and not to say that because I worked for CCAR, it was CCAR. It was CCAR because those 2 years that I was not using, it was nothing to me because I didn't learn anything. I wasn't learning anything at all. It was just the phone would ring, my wife would be like, "It's for you," and I'll be like, "Tell them I'm not here." They knew I was there. Then my car would be parked outside. They knock on the door. They be like, "Is he here?" Like, "No, he's not here." But
I have a hard time imagining you in that space.
A lot of people. I'm telling you, a lot of people were sad to see me in that position, especially my mom's, because I'm telling you, I'm like that person that I'll come in the room and we have a family reunion. They look to me to make a funny joke or to make them laugh or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't that person for a while. It was just, and then my addiction would separate me from everybody because I didn't want anybody to see me. So what I would do when there was parties, I would be outside in my car, and whoever wanted to follow me, they followed me. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it would be usually the people that was doing the same thing as me, and not even my family members. My neighbors will come up, and it'll be hanging with them.
So how did you work through your PTSD?
So I've multiple therapists, right?
Right.
But I connected with one therapist that did like cognitive therapy.
Right. Yeah.
And he was playing like noises, but real faint in the background. It was like, and it was gradually getting louder, like, and that helped me out a lot because the 4th of July was bothering me a lot.
Yeah.
Like those noises, and if somebody was to say something real loud on my left side, like I would react like so many times that I almost got into physical fights that I'd be like, what am I doing? Like, this is not me.
How'd you get into see a therapist?
It took a lot. It took a lot. My wife pleaded me. She was like, you need to see somebody. And,
do you think that's a cultural thing?
It is a cultural thing because I'm not crazy. That's what the first thing people think. And I always tell people that I work with now is that don't have anything to do with it. Wouldn't you want to have a conversation with somebody that's not, first of all, not going to really judge you, right? They're going to give you advice, right? And then I wish I would have had a coach, though, back then because I've gone through so many therapists, though. And the minute that I see the therapist, I don't vibe with the therapist, I'm out of there.
Yeah.
And I would let him know or her know. But, like, you ain't good. I was so, like, hurtful to people. Like, I didn't care. I was so blunt. I don't care
but was it true?
What you think of it.
Was it true?
It was kind of true. It was this one guy.
It was true for him.
I don't got to mention names in it, but there was this one guy, he was there, and he was looking at his watch and, like, yawning, and then I'm looking at him like, I'm telling you my problems, and you over here yawning and looking at your watch. You look malnourished. Dude, you don't even got your hair combed. Like, is this guy my therapist? Like, or should I be therapist?
I might have worked with him. He sounds very familiar.
Well, he sounds like a lot of therapists because I ran through a lot of them like that.
Gosh,
yeah.
A lot of them like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they say that the best measure of success from treatment is your therapeutic relationship. Mm-hmm. So the relationship that you're able to build with your clinician is the best predictor of how you're going to do in treatment.
So I had a clinician and I had a therapist. My therapist, I loved the hell out of this lady. This lady, I used to get to her office, she'd be like, let's go outside, I'm about to smoke a cigarette. We'll sit in the bench out in the parking lot and just like have a conversation.
She's real.
Yeah, and it was so, like, I love this lady. Mm-hmm. This lady used to give me resources. Mm-hmm. The first time I've ever gotten anything from a therapist, like, here, look this up, and here's some information on this, and here, I never had that before.
I can relate to that because my experience has been the same, where it's almost like they want to keep you right there. They don't want to tell you about other options or things like that.
They want to keep you there.
Yeah, they want to keep
think
you there.
they're scared that, all right, if I give them this, they're not going to come back.
Right.
It's not like that.
Right.
It's like a coach. If I'm coaching somebody, right, and I'm listening to you, I'm actively listening, right, but I'm not asking you no questions. You know what I'm saying? I'm not using you as a resource. It's like, it's just listening to you.
Yeah.
That's it. And then at the end of my session, be like, all right, I'll see you next week. Would you come back to me?
No.
Some people will, but they also, there's the business component where if you continually let people go, there's probably a fear that you're not going to have anybody come see you.
Oh yeah,
you know?
No. You have to. That's one thing that at first I was like, dang, I'm going to miss these volunteers that I have. But then I'm like, no, I'm not, because I'm going to have so many others that I have to be paying attention to.
Right.
That I love when my volunteers come back and tell me, like, hey, I got a few that come sit with me once a week. They got their time off, and they'll sit with me, and they'll tell me what they're doing, and they'll bounce something off of me, and I'll just give them the advice I can give them.
It's like being a teacher or an athletic coach or whatever, that, you know, if you're teaching an age group, then they're gone. They graduate, they move on, and you got a new group to deal with.
Yep. And then you got your reunions, you got your alumni that come back that you can be like brag to the other students, like, look, you could be him. You know what I'm saying? And that's that key, that's that power. That's why I appreciate when the coaches come in from the emergency department and from the DOC. They come into the center and just be there in their presence, and you see some of the volunteers, they engage with them and they ask questions and stuff, and it's just awesome because it kind of like sparks something up in them, like, dang, they're just like me, you know, I can do this too. You know,
they're exampmes. They're examples of what recovery looks like and sounds like.
How many times I was in the emergency department where people would cover themselves, and they I'm like, hey, you know, as soon as I say I'm a person in recovery, and they get up and they take the blanket off and they look at me like, okay, now I want to hear what you got to say.
They want to see what you look like.
Yeah. As soon as they see it, then they want to hear, like, tell me a little bit about what's going on.
I think one of the most remarkable outcomes in my tenure at CCAR is to have people seen in the emergency department by an emergency department recovery coach now working here as an emergency department recovery coach. I can't. Never, ever, my wildest dreams would ever predicted anything like that.
I got a message the other day from a guy that was like, hey, listen, I remember you 2 years ago, you worked with me in this emergency department, and then the funny thing is 2 weeks later, I saw you in a treatment center, and you were telling me the same thing, and then I guess I got it there because he got his RSS and motivated him to do something, and now he started working in the hospital, and then he's training people to go in the hospital.
Really?
The same guy that, like,
where's he doing this?
He's doing this out of Hartford Hospital.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And that was like, man, that's so powerful.
It is.
It is. It was a pleasure. I see this guy request me on Facebook, and then as soon as I was like, because I'm kind of iffy to get requests like that. But when I see somebody that they're friends with, I was like, all right, they must be all right, and give them a chance.
So you're talking about, we'll go back, you know, you had a couple years of clean sobriety, whatever you want to call it. Came to CCAR, started through Geraldo, started working with art, volunteering. What has your experience in CCAR been like, and how has your recovery transformed or shifted? And how long ago was that?
So this was 2016.
Right, so about 5 years ago?
Going on 5 years. Yeah. And this was October. This was a week into that recovery anniversary, whatever. So, and the transformation was like, it was kind of happening. And at first I was doubting myself because I remember I wasn't supposed to go. Well, obviously I was, but I was not going to go to that academy in February, where the coaches went. Jennifer was there, and I got to attend that when it was. I think that was like divine intervention, because I signed up to school and I was gonna say, let me do the April one. And I remember, like, right now, Geraldo was doing something on the computer, and he stopped and he turned his chair around and he was like, "You're not gonna do it April. You're gonna do it this month, and coming up in February, and you're gonna get a letter from me. You're gonna get a letter." At the time, Jim was working. I got a letter from him. Gave it to my professor. My professor said, "This is the first time I've ever got this. That somebody wanted to not come show up to school, but bringing me a letter telling me where they're gonna be at because they're missing." And she goes, "I respect it so much that I'm gonna let you go, and you ain't even got to do your assignment." She says, said, "Yeah," and I still did it too, because I just wanted to, like, I wanted to be like, give me that pleasure, that honor. I'm gonna give you your satisfaction to do your work too. So I did it, the academy, and it was. I'm still in contact with like half of the people in there. And then
didn't you and I have an exchange, that academy or something that you talk about?
Yeah. So you said, I remember this like
I didn't
right now.
remember it until you told me.
Yeah,
that
because you were talking about stages of change.
Yeah.
And stages of recovery. We was into that whole section, and I remember you saying, what do you think mostly in the centers? You spoke about the centers, and you said, what do you think the stage of change you will see in the center more than likely? And everybody was saying all these, and I said the maintenance stage. I was the only one that said the maintenance stage, and you said, listen to Michael Serrano because he knows what he's talking about. And that gave me like, oh man, I want to learn more now. You know, and I thank you for that, and I get that all the time from everybody, and it's like, oh man, this organization has changed my life, because I was in a situation where I thought I didn't have control of what I liked, right? So I'm stuck in these jobs that I don't like to be in these jobs, man. I hated the jobs that I had, even the carpentry jobs, because I would always work with people that really didn't treat me right, you know, and they had no heart. So coming here is like having that openness, right? And that's transparency. We can talk to each other. And it's not only one person. You have a multitude of people that you can bounce stuff off of. It's just beautiful.
So, Michael, when we hired you,
it was 2017, May 22nd.
I remember. I remember.
I remember meeting you for the first time, Rebecca. Yeah? I was intimidated, for real, because I've heard about you, right? And then I remember you coming down the stairs. No, the first time I saw you, you were going up the stairs, and I was like, what's up there? I told Geraldo. Geraldo brought me up there, gave me a tour. Yeah. That's the first time I met you. He introduced me briefly, and you was like, all right, you were busy, so you needed to do your thing. And then the first time I really met you, that you were like, yeah, I keep hearing your name. Yeah. And then and you were like, keep doing what you're doing. And that's another moment like I had with Phil, that I was like, all right, like, okay, you know, because like, all right, she told me that I got to keep doing what I got to keep doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I need those. Everybody needs those type of praises.
I remember interviewing you, and you blew us all away. There was no doubt that we wanted to hire you.
3 females first, and then it was 4 females, because then Stacy came in for that third interview. And I remember I was like, oh, I'm nervous. And then I started thinking to myself, I can't be nervous. I live with women.
You're surrounded by women.
Yeah, all the time.
All
and
right.
Like, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But I remember that. I remember asking Jennifer that question, too. And it was cool to see that 40 people were seen. Well, it was 49 people were seen at that month, and then to now, like over 10,000 people. It was like,
yeah, we were just getting started, and you were very, very important in establishing our relationship with St. Francis.
Yeah,
they loved you at St. Francis.
They wanted me to have an office there.
Yeah, they did.
And I was like, because you got to share me. You got to share me with the other hospitals. I would tell them. Yeah, and they need me over there too.
Yeah.
And I need to change I used to tell them that I need to change the culture over there.
Yes.
Because Lawrence Memorial, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, but look at it. I bet you go now. I haven't gone there over a year, so I don't know, but those ladies still know me.
Yeah.
Like, I will call over there, and those ladies from the Huck unit, like, I've grew a lot of relationships with hospitals where not only the nurses, the doctors, but janitors, security guards. There was one janitor in Mid-State that used to let me in through this door because she knew what time I used to come to the hospital. So she used to pinch the door open.
Oh, for you?
Yeah, because the door wasn't working at the time. So things like that is like calling somewhere and they know your number. When you call and they be like, Michael, what you want? Like, messing around, like, what do you want? And it's like, hey, I need a favor. What you need? I need a bed for this person, this and this, that. Hey, come, it's okay, I got him. And those relationships are meaningful.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you take care of your recovery today?
So I go to church. That's my first and foremost pathway of recovery. My God.
I remember when you got saved.
That was it's funny because I got baptized the 12th of February, and then the 13th we did the academy, and it was like a cleanse, man. It was like I had a good a good spirit with me always through that academy.
You did.
You know, and I connected with everybody. When you said mingle and huddle, I mingled with everybody. I mingled with everybody. So that's one of my but I also volunteer. And I just shared that picture with Eric Roberts the other day on Facebook, and people were like, "Oh, you met Eric Roberts?" Like, yeah, I met a lot of celebrities, and thank God be in recovery, because I would have never thought of volunteering at no Comic-Con. So it's good, and it's something to do with my sister, and that's some time for me and my sister to spend, because we don't get to spend time with each other, and that's like, my sister's very dear to me. So
I know that Geraldo has taught me so much, and Jolie, about Puerto Rican or Spanish speaking or Latino culture and all that, we're very open here to multiple pathways, as you know, and we want to promote as much Spanish speaking and all that, Spanish speaking podcasts, meetings, whatever, translate all our material whatever we can. What are some key differences in your experience between like and tell me if I'm wrong here, but there's not a lot of 12-step participation in the community, is there or not?
Yeah, there is. There is.
So what are the differences and similarity? Are there differences in Spanish-speaking culture, Puerto Rican culture, for recovery?
I've seen. It's funny because I've been to like multiple meetings. Yeah. And a Spanish and an urban setting, I don't know. It's like more. I don't want to say more hip or whatever, but they got I heard music inside meetings, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I would really hear that in a meeting, AA meeting, full of white people.
And I never have.
Yeah, and it's like, because it's traditional that's probably disrespect for them, and to that they are real direct with their 12 step. They're serious with it. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just probably more things that we encountered, more barriers that we encountered that we have to talk about.
Like what kind of barriers?
It's a lot of like, I don't know. It's just,
name one. First one that you got one right on the top of your head.
So like if me and you was to get pulled over, and this happened to me. This happened to me and one of my good friends, and he's Puerto Rican, and he looks. We call him White Boy. And they treated him real good, and then they found out his name. His last name is Vega.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude! They just flipped the script on it, and it was like, yo, you was just treating him good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's stuff like that. Like we could talk about stuff like that, because it's just, I don't know. It's difficult, Phil, like to talk about, because you need hours to talk about this, man. You know what I'm saying? Because this has been happening for so many. This has been happening for so many years that
I agree.
It's like I got thrown in a car one time. I think back at this. I got thrown in a car one time by a cop, and it was hot in the car, man. And it was like 95 degrees outside. He had the windows up, no AC, nothing, and I'm like sweating bullets. And I'm pleading him to open up the window. And his response was, "It's just like Puerto Rico." That was his response. And I was like, "How do you even know I'm Puerto Rican? How do you know I was born in Puerto Rico?" But it was just, I look back at it and laugh, but it was like serious, because I could have died.
Yeah, of course.
Been there another half hour. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was dehydrating already. I'm only 15 years old.
Racism, discrimination, it's not always based on the color of your skin.
No, and it's not. It's where you live at, too, because I've had friends that were white that grew up in the hood.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That they were considered, if they would go to Simsbury, they'd be considered white trash.
Yeah.
And they ain't trash to me. These my peoples, man. I grew up with them. And they had heart. These kids that I grew up with had more heart than the kids that the other kids that were black and Puerto Rican. That's why I think that's why they survived the hood, because their heart. And they did a study, and it's just funny that you can go in the middle of the hood, in the middle of the night, and they won't do nothing to you. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
As the old white guy.
Yep, and you too.
And I did.
Yeah, yeah, and you be all right. But if I was to go,
for the most part, I was.
Yeah, if I was to go like brand new to somewhere in the neighborhood, I would have to talk my way out of it.
You're fighting.
I'm fighting or talking my way out of it, and I talked my way out of a lot of situations where we didn't have to bring it to violence, but it's just like that. And then I wonder why it's like that. So they did a statistic is they won't mess with a white person in the middle of the night in the hood, because they're afraid that if something happens to them, the cops are gonna be flooded there. They won't be able to make money for months probably.
Oh.
So they think that.
Wow. Yeah, I've had so many of the race conversations with Art, and when we would drive somewhere together, he always wanted me to drive. His wife wanted me to drive, because if he was driving, the chances of getting pulled over and questioned and hassled were probably 50 times than me getting pulled over.
It's like Foley. Foley used
Brian
to arrest.
Foley.
He used to arrest me. He arrested me 13 times in 2 weeks. 2 times in one day. When he saw me the afternoon, he was like, "Serrano, I just arrested you. Oh, come back." Got me right back in the thing. Trespassing. Couldn't get me on anything else, but just trespassing. But
well, he knew what you were doing there. You were
So I
drugs.
I just did an experiment, right? I just did an experiment, and people didn't know. I put that picture that I put on Facebook. I put a picture of me and him on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah. So I told my wife, I said, this is gonna hurt people's feelings, because everybody that I grew up with, they hate Foley.
Really?
They hate this man. They despise him because he did a lot of dirt. Like they shaved his head one time, and I heard that they did a CAT scan on him to check his brain or something like that, because he was just stopping everybody. But he was trying to make his quotas. I understand what he was trying to do. Mm-hmm. Now I understand. I didn't understand then because I was mixed up. Mm-hmm. But I didn't share that picture to show Foley, or what Foley was at the time, and who he was, and to represent who he was. I put that picture to represent who I am today.
The peacemaker.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And nobody, my sister was livid, because nobody that I grew up with really turned around and said, "Yo, I don't like him, but yo, man, you keep doing what you're doing, and I'm very proud of you," and stuff like that. Nothing like that, man. Just one person said, "You my dude. F him." Like, you know what I'm saying? But but it's all right. You know what I'm saying? I like.
Wow.
I told her too. I was like, "This is gonna be a powerful picture," and it turned out to be. People were calling me like, "Yo, why you took a picture with this dude?" And then I had to explain to them, like it's not. That's not the point I put it.
Yeah.
I didn't put it because of him. I put it because of me, to show y'all where I'm at, man.
Right.
You know, and you guys can be there too.
So what do you think happened after 20 years that you're able to now openly talk about the story of getting
I think
shot?
Time.
And what
Time.
it did to you?
Time.
Mm-hmm.
The time of healing, like, is a healing process. I think about it. I had a lot of nightmares for a lot of years, and thank God, I don't have those nightmares anymore.
When you talk about it, what are the feelings that run through you? Do you still get?
Yeah, I get this thing like, I'm not mad at the guys.
Right.
I'm not mad at them because obviously they must have been on something to make them do that. But if they were to come up to me today, I will help them out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just the type of person I am today.
Yeah.
But it did a toll on me, man, for a long time, and it took time to heal. It so much time to heal, like 20 years, and now I can still. I look back at it and I can see pictures and stuff. It's not so vivid like before. Like I used to have dreams that I'll be a cop. I'm a cop and I see myself on the floor, on the ground. I mean, and with the white sheet over me, and I'm like, I had dreams, like bugged out dreams.
When you think about it, it was so much more than just that incident, because you were re-traumatized by that police officer dragging you out of bed and bringing you back to that scene in such a callous way.
Yeah, like he didn't care. Yeah. And the lady didn't either. The cop lady didn't either, because my sister was mad. She had to step out the room because the lady kept saying, "Now you sure you're not in the gang?" Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she would leave the room and then come back and be like, "All right, it's okay if you can tell me if you're in a gang or not."
Right, they're trying to play you.
And
they're trying to,
I'm not in no gang.
Well, I just, of course, like the person that's hired you is like, did they take anything?
Yeah.
And then like you got shot in the neck, but never mind, did they take anything?
Yeah. And it's funny because I seen the lady like a few months later, and she kind of like startled because she thought I was gonna like probably attack her son.
Yeah. Yeah,
because her son lived actually across the street from where I was at the time. And she came to visit him. She saw me. She was like startled, like she thought I was gonna like run after him or something. I wasn't gonna do that.
So I was
never that person, that violent person that try to hurt somebody.
So what do you think the future holds for you? What would you like to do?
I told you I wanted to be. My future goal is to be a master recovery coach. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that title for people.
Well, you're pretty close already, coach. Michael.
I would MRC?
MRCP.
MRCP.
Yeah, got it. What else would you like to do?
I would like to see more podcasts, and we're doing an open mic tonight. You guys are welcome to come. Mm-hmm. I hope you guys can come.
Mm-hmm. What time's the open mic?
7 to 9.
Yeah.
In Manchester, 102 Norman Street. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be fun.
I don't think this podcast is gonna get aired by tonight.
But we might be having more.
I hear you. Okay, so check our website, right?
Yeah.
I know. So, when you think about where would you like to see CCAR or your role or anything in the future? Where would you like?
Didn't I tell you about me being in the police station when I became a coach for the first time? So I was gonna just volunteer and just sit in the police station.
Right.
So I see that, and I also see it in schools, like in high schools. So like TJ's working with young people in recovery. Mm-hmm. Get some young coaches, and maybe some young coaches fresh out of high school that can go back to their same school and coach people. Because you got to think about it, when they graduate, you got the 9th graders that see them, and they're going to have that. So bringing it back to that. Listen, you remember that story Don Koya said about the river?
Yeah.
And you getting the babies at the end, like grabbing the babies at the beginning of the river, the stream?
No, so the story is that we were fishing babies out of the river, and we had this whole process to make sure we got all the babies that were floating down the river, until somebody said, let's go up the river and see why they're being put there to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's the whole concept. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe even middle school. That's where I messed up at. So
I think that's where a lot of
that's the fork in the road.
I was 13, middle school.
Too. Mm-hmm. I was 11 the first time I smoked a joint. I was in 6th grade. I robbed the joint off my cousin. Remember I told you that story?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was in seventh or eighth.
See?
Yeah.
So
You showed
imagine
me the
coaches.
woods where you used to like over the bridge over the
Oh,
river and go
that's when I was in high school. We used to go across the trestle, the railroad trestle, into the woods and have keg parties. And
Yeah.
That's what they did in Willimantic.
yes,
Yeah.
among other things. Yes.
Hartford Willimantic is different. And again, I'm always struck. I've heard so many stories from people that grew up in Hartford, and I grew up less than 10 minutes away in Manchester, so there's Hartford.
Yeah,
Cross
that's the
Hartford.
River. That's still Hartford, that Hartford area. So.
Well, you cross Hartford, you cross the river, you go into East Hartford, and then there's Manchester's right there.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different world in a lot of ways.
Different culture.
Yeah, just 10 minutes away.
Listen, so when I first started as the volunteer manager, I seen that culture.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people were like resistance, and now you see people that never really looked at me. They making sure that I'm looking at them to say hi to them. Mm-hmm. And that's that, I don't know, that's that culture changer that I learned from my colleagues too.
I can tell you that there were race riots in the 70s, early 70s, and black people being killed by the cops and all that. Yeah. And literally in Manchester, you didn't even, as a kid, I heard basically nothing about that till years later. Yeah. That's how insulated and and one of the things about the world today with technology is a lot of that we're much more aware.
Yeah, because we see it's
doesn't
out
mean
there.
We always do something about it, but we're aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about that riot in Hartford too around that time too. That were burning down houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Michael, anything else you want to add on this version?
I'm just excited. I'm thrilled and excited that you invited me, and I get to have Rebecca here host with too. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Thank you.
So, what are you looking forward to, Michael?
I'm looking forward to seeing CCAR grow as a family. More centers. I would love to see more centers. Mm-hmm. I got my preferences of towns where CCAR could be. But
what would those be?
How many? Like just
three. Top three.
I agree with you. Top three.
Top three. All right. So New Britain needs it.
Hard hitting New Britain.
It needs it bad. My mother lives there. I'm frequently there and seeing it. We in the hospital there. That would be one. Another one. I think I always thought about having another one in Hartford, like in the north end of Hartford, because I'm from the north end of Hartford. Mm-hmm. But that would, to me, because it really needs it badly. North end of Hartford is like, if you go to the north end of Hartford, it looks so sad. Mm-hmm. And go down, not Albany Ave, but go down Main Street, go all the way up Main Street, go down Barber Street and all that. You're gonna notice it's very sad. Mm-hmm. It's like a withered plant, and that's I don't know what's going on. Like, it's sad, but that's another one. And then the third one, this is kind of off, and people probably gonna be like, "What?" But I believe Enfield needs that, because that border, we're right there in the border. But it's kind of tricky because where in Enfield would you put it? That's the thing, because it's not like
close to 91.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our former coaches, one of our former ED recovery coaches, was thinking about Enfield as well. And I met her one day for coffee, and she took me to where she thought was a good spot for a recovery community center. So we have our eye on an area. So those.
We have proposals in, so we'll see what our state says about that.
Listen, I'm excited, and I if the state is listening, I'll back it up 100%, 110%, that we do need more centers, because these centers are transforming people, So
absolutely, yeah. Well said.
That's what I would love.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Phil.
Continue.
I sure will.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Rebecca.